The main character is a hero of the Empire who is passionate about poking dogs, and he often plays with monsters. Every time he does a mission, he pulls out his sword, prepares, dances a few basic moves to send this snake up the board. Counting, unfortunately, he stumbled and fell into a hole. When he woke up, the main character heard someone calling him. He opened his eyes and saw a beautiful woman with platinum blonde hair in front of him. Then the girl suddenly kissed him on the forehead, making him very surprised. "Is it my peach blossom lock?" If beauty has taken the initiative like that, it would be very impolite. But when the main character was about to get to work, he suddenly realized that he had turned into a baby. With tiny hands like this, how could he do anything? Then he heard the girl speak softly, "Arian, my dear child, are you hungry?" Now the main character realized that he had been reincarnated as a child named Arian, and the woman was his mother. In fact, Arian is quite familiar with this matter because in his previous life, he had been reincarnated many times, so it was quite normal. At this time Arian had calmed down and looked around to find that this room was decorated in the style of medieval Western times. Arian was a little disappointed because the most comfortable place to live is in the scientific world. Everything is fully equipped and extremely luxurious, especially the toilet, which must have a butt spray nozzle, but in ancient times there was nothing left. In addition to his mother in the room, Arian also discovered that there was a pretty cute maid next to him. Looking through it, he concluded that he was living in a feudal aristocratic family in Europe. Although there is no butt spray nozzle, at least Arian's current status is still the eldest son and young master. Looking at the loving eyes of the girl holding him in her arms, Arian knew that this was a mother with boundless love for her child. Because of many reincarnations, Arian has met all kinds of mothers. In one small number, Arian was abandoned by his biological mother as soon as he was born. Another time he was used by his mother as a tool to make money and had to work very hard every day. At this time Arian suddenly heard the maid call his mother Lady Livanna and call him Prince. It turns out that not long ago Arian's mother was just a maid. After hearing that, Arian understood that his identity was a prince but his mother was a commoner. According to the rules of aristocracy in feudal kingdoms, princes with low origins will have no inheritance rights at all. Seeing that her mother's mood was not good, Arian reached out his tiny hand and wiped away the tears on her face, which made Lady Livanna feel much better. In his heart, Arian didn't care about inheriting the throne because in 101 lifetimes that he reincarnated, this was already a place where he could live very well. At least as a prince without real power but food and clothing in life will not have to worry about eating enough every day waiting for death barking at the palace as king. But Arian suddenly remembered some movies he had watched before. A prince who has nothing outstanding in a life full of struggles in royal places, then there is a high chance that he will have to receive boxed rice. Right from the first episodes, if there is no inheritance right, then it is no different from waste. Without anyone's support, without power in hand, then there will be nothing to protect oneself and those around. 3 months later Arian had completely adapted to his new body and began practicing based on experiences accumulated from countless previous lives. In any world, strength is the ultimate truth. As long as you are the strongest person on the server, no one will dare to touch you. The method that helps Arian gain strength with this baby body is a secret Qigong technique. The cultivation method that he created himself in the 30th reincarnation is a divine skill that allows Arian to cultivate both heaven and original Qi at the same time. Even more special is the ability to transport Qi in the form of a child without teeth, which normal people will never be able to recognize. This is an extremely powerful secret technique. Cultivate until 10 years old and have 65 years of merit. Cultivate until 20 years old and have 185 years of merit. A blatant hack phase from the main character's position. At this time, Arian began to accelerate his cultivation progress. He could feel the original Qi overflowing throughout his body, its heat making his mind dazzle. The energy source has reached its highest level. Suddenly, the maid came in, causing Arian to temporarily stop cultivating. It seems that she intended to change Arian's diaper, making him sweat. It turns out that at this time just a light touch is enough for all the energy that he has accumulated with great difficulty to disappear. Fortunately, the maid saw that Aaron did not need to change his diaper, so she went outside and waited for the opponent to disappear from sight. Let's continue cultivating, let's just restrain ourselves a little bit. Now let's see this explosion of mine. Arian doesn't know how long this tiny body can withstand it anymore. But he would rather die than live under someone else's arrangement. He pushed Qigong transportation to its limit, all for his comfortable life later on. In the room, there was immediately a child scream that made the maid very worried, so she immediately returned to the room to check on Arian. Fortunately at this time Arian had finished cultivating and only had a little sweat on his forehead. The maid also thought it was because he was too hot, so she quickly went to prepare an herbal bath for him. After bathing, he will feel comfortable right away. Carrying the maid away, then Aaron immediately jumped up and showed joy because he had successfully cultivated Super Water Tran. After bathing, indeed felt cooler and more comfortable, making him smile with eyes closed. Currently mana in the air has been disrupted by Aaron with his super evolved Water Tran Qigong. In other words, as long as you eat and sleep you will still get stronger on your own. Just give Arian enough time to grow up, then there will be no one left in this world who is his opponent. At that time, being the final boss of the server, no one but him really looked forward to the days when he can live leisurely like a prince without doing anything but still eating. Years later, thanks to the effective secret Qigong technique, Aaron's physique and heavenly Qi have been enhanced. His body also developed faster than children of the same age by half. It also automatically absorbs heavenly Qi every day. Lady Livanna came over and picked up Aaron and said she had a gift for him. Then she took out a rattle, making him think, how many lives have I lived but still playing this childish game? But because he didn't want his mother to be sad, so he had to pretend to follow along, that this was very fun to play. Being a child is really not easy. Inwardly thinking, although I am a child but also an old monster living many years. But today I have to act cute to coax two little girls, please. After playing for a while, Arian began to feel hungry. How could this tiny little body get hungry so fast? Fortunately the maid realized that the prince was hungry, so she immediately went to make a bottle of warm milk for him to suckle. While drinking milk, Arian heard his mother and maid talking with each other, then found out that this year's palace treasury was cut again, because there was no money to pay for maids, so some people had to be laid off. Even everyone's daily meals were reduced, but the treasury still couldn't afford it. Despite the difficult situation, the lady still tries to provide her child with enough nutrition. The maid said that the biggest concern is the upcoming winter. Winter cannot be cultivated and has to raise an additional child. Aaron heard that and also felt a bit overwhelmed, thinking that being a prince would no longer starve to death, but the maid wanted Lady Livanna to find the king, but she refused because she thought that at this time the king was also busy. This made Aaron a little angry with his father, whom he had never met in this life. No matter how hard it is, you have to meet your wife and children once, right? No matter how indifferent he is, this cannot be accepted. Arian guessed that it could be the other concubines of the king who prevented him from seeing his mother. Aaron couldn't help but feel angry when he saw his pitiful mother, thinking in his heart that even though he was just a baby, he still wanted to help his mother at all costs. In the evening, Arian was sitting in the crib thinking about how to get through this winter. That is the most important issue that needs to be resolved right now. First of all, there needs to be a lot of money to supplement food. Winter also needs more firewood than usual to keep warm. While not knowing what to do, his head suddenly popped up. If it's that thing, then it's sure to be okay. Looking at the coal in the stove, Arian remembered carbon, a gem formed from a carbon element, which is diamond. His mother also has one. In this world, gems are an extremely valuable asset. So the problem has been solved. If there are no diamonds, then just make one. Usually coal does not have too many uses, but with Aaron's current situation it has been considered a valuable raw material. The main character began to self-satisfied thinking of making diamonds from coal. You are really 100-year genius. There's an Ariana, he wants to take advantage of everyone here sleeping to quickly make a diamond. Arian began to combine heat with mana, compressing pressure on coal by pouring as much mana as possible into it. This process is very important. If it fails, it will waste the energy that Arian has just gathered. At this time Arian thought of his mother. She would no longer be sad when he could finally make a diamond. After so much effort he finally succeeded. In his hand was a shiny diamond. Ignoring how it was created, it looked pretty decent. The diamond has done its job now, just to give this thing to an adult as naturally as possible. If not, people know that a baby like Arian has diamonds, then it's really over. The next morning when the maid came to see Aaron, she found that he had crawled out of the crib. She was very surprised. How could a child who couldn't even reach climb out of the crib? Seeing Aaron's face covered in coal, she discovered that the stove on the other side had been completely dug up by him. Looking closely again, the maid realized that something was in Aaron's mouth, afraid that the prince would put something strange in his mouth, so she immediately gently took it out. Unexpectedly, inside was a diamond. The maid was extremely surprised because she was originally in charge of finance here and had never discovered any missing gems. Moreover, Lady Liv Anna did not have any diamonds at all. She just thought that it was Prince Arian who brought this luck. Right after that, a whole procession of carriages entered the castle. The empty warehouse in the kitchen is now filled with firewood and food. People working here don't need to worry anymore, because this diamond has been sold at the highest price for another 5 years. We will no longer have to worry about running out of food or firewood. At first Lady Liv Anna was a little scared. In case the diamond had an owner, it would not be okay, but the maid immediately reassured the lady that this castle had been ownerless for nearly 100 years. Before everyone moved here, perhaps God had blessed the prince. The lady is not sure about that, but she still feels very happy. Suddenly Arian came and took his mother's hands. Mommy, wait until I grow up. When that day comes, I will definitely protect you from all difficulties. I will make that king regret treating us like this. That winter, the stove in the castle never stopped burning brightly, and finances were more stable. A clear change can be seen everywhere. Laid-off workers have also returned to their old treatment regime. Poverty has also improved, but for Aaron the biggest change is that his mother is no longer sad. Just as I thought, Mom looks best when she smiles. That winter was the coldest winter in history, but warmer than all. Time passed and our prince turned 1 year old. The lady bought Arian many beautiful clothes and made him change from one set to another. The main character doesn't understand why adults have to be so confused just because of a child's outfit like mine. I'm so angry that Arian wants to continue this, so he pretends to cry. The lady thought her son was sleepy, so she put him in the crib. Hearing the maid talk, then on Arian's upcoming birthday the castle will hold a party. At that time he will be officially announced as a member of the royal family. Because of this the lady also feels more excited. Sometimes Arian suddenly thought that at a royal party surely the nobles and other members of the royal family would also come. Then maybe he will meet his father, whom he has never seen before. In a blink of an eye it was Aaron's birthday. Looking around, Aaron realized that his mother had spent quite a bit of money to organize this party. The melodious classical music and extremely splendid costumes. Today Aaron is the main character of this party, being held lovingly by his mother. Then he suddenly felt some hostile eyes looking at him. However, Arian didn't care and just wanted to see who the king was, who had never met his wife and son once since birth. The opponent didn't even care how his mother and child lived. At this time the Arnesia royal family appeared. Their presence is a sign that the ball has officially begun. Arian looked at the elegant blonde-haired woman in front of him, thinking inwardly, it's not for nothing that she's called queen. It's really scary pressure. If so, then those kids next to them must be my half-brothers from different mothers. He carefully observed each person because they were royal descendants, so they were very prominent like cranes among chickens. Unexpectedly they walked straight past without even greeting his mother. Take one sentence to make my father a little annoyed already. Although isolated, Lady Livanna still appeared dignified and gentle, truly my mother. But at this moment, Arian suddenly noticed that his mother's expression was a little strange. Hearing the noise, he immediately turned his head. What is it? It turned out that the king had arrived. Just looking at him, Arian felt an extremely terrifying amount of mana that could make many nobles shut up. Immediately, this person is not to be joked with. Then the king just glanced at Arian and his mother and said nothing. The party continued with birthday gifts and congratulations from lower-class nobles. For the higher nobles, there is one thing in common, that is the contemptuous attitude, not even covered. These snobbish nobles dare to do this to my mother? Wait for me to grow up and I will go through each one of them. They're to grease Arian. Still intend to puncture their eardrums with my crying. But if I do that, my mother will be very difficult, so I forgive those arrogant nobles. Let's endure this anger for my mother's sake. No matter what you want to say, this prince is too sleepy to go to sleep, yawning long and short. Then suddenly someone's hand pinches my cheek. It hurts a bit. It turned out that the culprit was a blonde girl who seemed to be the daughter of the ladies in the palace. Well, out of respect for your family being young, so I forgive you. At the party, the king's concubines came to congratulate Lady Livanna and the prince, but their attitude was not very good either. Like that, the party quickly ended. Right at this moment a voice rang out, Ivana hasn't seen you for a long time. It turned out that the queen led her son over to greet and show off her son doing very well in his role as heir. Arian on one side despised flattering his spoiled son like that. As I guess the queen is on a completely different level compared to those nobles. And the queen praised Arian for looking very much like his mother and how cute he looked. But this prince is not easy to be fooled. No matter how friendly your tone and expression are, but whether your nature is really like that or not, it's hard to say. If she really had a little concern, even the smallest, for me and my mother, then the finances of the concubines' castles would have been. Guards even had to do jobs unrelated to their expertise. And other workers had to take their leftover fabric to make clothes for themselves. At this time the king appeared and asked about the situation of his mother, child for a long time whether it was okay or not, making Arian purple with anger. No money for food and clothing subsidies in winter. Are you okay, you stingy old king? How can this guy breathe any sentence that hates it? If you weren't my father, then this prince would have bled you dry. On the other side, the king suddenly saw Arian doing tricks and told Lady Livanna to give her son to him. The king was very surprised when Arian was very calm. Usually children seeing him would have cried loudly already. This kid is pretty good, huh? How about it still, my old man? So Arian also smiled back. A man who doesn't soften with his child's smile isn't worthy of being a father. See? How about this trick of this prince, or give the old man some more surprises? Thinking, Arian suddenly struggled out. His Majesty put me down on the ground. Seeing that, Lady Livanna looked worried. Arian still couldn't walk yet, Your Majesty, because today is only his first birthday. Unexpectedly, as soon as she finished speaking, before everyone's frightened eyes, Arian began walking on his tiny legs, seeing me as a scary yet old man. The lady and maid saw this scene, happily crying in their hearts, I will show you I am completely different from your other children. Not at all. At this moment, a sudden mutation occurred. Arian knocked over the banquet table when he accidentally pulled the tablecloth. All the wine and food immediately fell to the ground. Everyone did not have time to react because it happened too quickly. Unexpectedly, all of this was part of Arian's plan. The king saw him crying and immediately picked up his son to see if he was hurt anywhere. As for Arian, he also pretended to be pitiful and acted as if he was acting. Seeing that Arian was not injured, everyone breathed a sigh of relief. However, because his clothes were dirty, he needed to change into new clothes. At this moment, the king suddenly changed color. It turned out that when he took off Arian's shirt, he discovered that inside was an old shirt that had been painted. This is not an undershirt for a prince. The maid next to him was extremely surprised because clearly this morning she had personally put on a brand new undershirt for Arian. Seeing this scene, the king was extremely angry. People around also began to talk, that shirt is not worthy of a prince's status at all, surely the child must have had a very difficult life. The king suddenly roared and all order in the room immediately became silent. No one dared to make any sound. Then he looked at Arian with affectionate eyes. "My son, what have you been through?" Back in the morning when the maid was preparing to change Arian's clothes, he rubbed his body to increase body heat, then tore his clothes. The fabric is quite thin so he can easily tear it with just his baby hands. And the dust on his clothes is because he rubbed the fabric. Behind the luxurious clothes is a naked truth, as if it were just an ostentatious appearance at the prince's birthday. The king immediately asked Lady Livanna what had happened. This is not something that a royal member should wear. While the lady didn't know how to explain this matter, the king said, "I shouldn't ask you about this." Then the king called the great minister who was assigned to divide the budget for the palaces to ask questions. He replied that the budget was divided fairly just as you said. "Your Majesty," the king immediately became angry, "is this your fairness? Give me your spending right away." For Arian this is a good opportunity, although his birthday party suddenly turned into a court, but this is an opportunity to find out what kind of person his father is. After the spending record was handed over to the king, he became extremely angry and immediately burned the paper with fire. Looking at the expression of the king, it seemed like he didn't know anything about this, then suddenly lowered his voice, "My beloved queen, do you know anything about this?" The queen was taken aback but still told her concubine to ask, "What does it say?" The king revealed the budget is not evenly divided but leaked elsewhere. "Not you are responsible." Everything related to concubines and harem, or how at this time from inside their son immediately came out to break through for his mother. It's all because someone played tricks. The queen would never do such things, but before he could finish speaking he was immediately interrupted by the king. "What do you mean? Not because she did it she doesn't have to take responsibility. My brother had to live in poverty due to lax management. My queen, it's a pity." At this time Lady Livanna spoke up, "It's not her fault, it's all because of unworthy concubines." The king immediately turned around, "What are you talking nonsense? You gave birth to my child carrying my blood, which proves that you are a member of royalty." Hearing these words, Lady Livanna was extremely touched while the queen's eyes showed anger. In the end, the king declared that he must find the culprit and hold him accountable for this. Then he went to speak to the queen. "I hope things like this will never happen again." The queen bowed her head. "Your concubine will definitely not bring any more trouble to you, Your Majesty." After speaking, her two hands clenched her skirt, then the queen spoke to Lady Livanna, "How can I make it up to you? At least I hope you can blame me so that I can feel relieved." Arian immediately pouted, "Stop acting. What is she doing? Is there a case where a queen who manages the palace does not know anything about this? It's really fake, seeing it, hate it." Even this prince couldn't feel a bit of sincere attitude in her eyes, and even the other concubines were like that. I don't know how many people are involved in this. The birthday party finally ended and the budget issue was also thoroughly resolved. Not long after that, the mastermind was caught, and the culprit of this embezzlement came from a noble family. He was executed. Arian learned of the news when he accidentally overheard the maids in the castle talking to each other. He thought that the convicted person was just a pawn in this case. The queen is the most suspicious object, but everything has completely calmed down after the execution. Just wait, queen, when this prince grows up will definitely make you pay dearly. But first eat something. Why do children's bodies get hungry so quickly? Well, for now this prince just temporarily plays and eats like a child. Don't have to do anything, it's really refreshing all over. After eating, Aaron was about to take a nap when suddenly there was some noise outside. He quickly discovered that it was a carriage. It seemed that there were guests visiting his house. So Aaron immediately used his spiritual power to fly out of the crib, waking up the maid before those people entered the room. Due to time constraints, Aaron could only think of pinching her. It hurts. This prince apologizes to your family. At this time, the maid also discovered that there were guests coming to play. The opponent is Lady Fila, and her daughter is a concubine of the king who appeared at Aaron's birthday party today. Lady Fila came here without prior notice because she didn't want others to know about her visit. Then she told her daughter to play by herself and went into a private room to talk with Lady Livanna. Fila suddenly apologized to Livanna, making her not understand anything. Fila explained that she always felt guilty for what had happened at Aaron's birthday party. Lady Fila is a member of the Kenchester family. When war broke out across the continent, the Kenchester family made great contributions to help stabilize the country as it is today. However, that glory was covered with dust in the past when no male child was born with military talent. The Kenchester family began to decline, even rumors that they were having financial difficulties maintaining their family. Fila had no choice but to cooperate with the queen to oppress Lady Ivana. Feeling guilty, Fila returned the embezzled money and begged Ivana to direct her hatred at herself alone. She just wants to protect her daughter from trouble from Harlem struggles. Lady Livanna is an understanding person, so she doesn't blame Phinelia either. She didn't want to take back this money and told her opponent, just consider it as a milestone for our friendship. At this time, Livanna revealed to Fila why the queen always targeted her. It's because before becoming a concubine of the king, she was originally a maid serving beside the queen. Now Aaron understood why the queen did such things. Although in the next room, when controlling the air, he could still hear the conversation of the two. Right before, due to low status, Lady Livanna ignored everything because she really had no power to resist. However, it will not be like that anymore because she has Aaron. Even if it is the queen, she will not let her opponent do whatever she wants. Livanna wants to befriend Phinelia not simply because of her kindness, but when pushed to a dead end, everyone needs someone they can trust. Being a prince is not as simple as Aaron thought. Just making a wrong move will become a pawn in the power game. After the two ladies allied with each other, Fila's daughter Princess Kania also began to play with Aaron. Unexpectedly, this little girl dared to climb into the crib to pinch this prince's cheek. As an old monster who has lived for hundreds of lives, Aaron still has to cooperate with it to act. It is really annoying. But this prince doesn't want to be a child anymore. Someone save me. Time passed in the blink of an eye and Prince Aaron was 30 months old, just half a year left. Aaron couldn't help but sigh when time flies by, really, but when he said it, it was still the babyish voice of a child. When will this prince be able to speak normally? In the past, because of his eloquence, he used to pick up every woman he met within 10 minutes. At this moment, Aaron suddenly heard the familiar footsteps of someone. It turned out that Princess Kania came to find him to play again. So he quickly ran into a corner, but in the end he couldn't escape. This kid is really annoying, always sticking to this prince. I'm old enough to be your ancestor. Suddenly someone told the princess, you shouldn't do that because children's bodies are easily injured. This girl is Kania's personal bodyguard. Luckily salvation appeared in time, otherwise this prince would have been ruined. The female bodyguard said Princess Kania should go inside to learn painting or play musical instruments. But Kania said that would be boring. After looking around for a while, Kania picked up a branch from the ground and said, I want to learn swordsmanship. When she was still in the palace, she had seen her royal brothers practicing swords. Aaron on one side evaluated this kid pretty well, but when swinging his sword his center of gravity did not shift into his body, his balance was quite good. Although his movements were still a bit clumsy, his talent was really not bad at all. However, the female bodyguard said Princess Kania cannot learn swords like princes. Women in palaces must learn literature and art. But before she could finish speaking, Kania stole her sword to play with. I don't care, I must learn swordsmanship. Seeing this scene, Arion began to feel a little fond of his sister, although she bothered this prince all day long, but her determination and intelligence could be nurtured. Time passed and now our prince is 5 years old. Looking at people riding horses on the grass, looking back at himself riding a wooden horse, Arion was bored and didn't want to say anything because the prince was still young, so no one dared let him ride a real horse. If Arion had any fate, all the servants would be executed like playing, for not fulfilling their responsibility to protect the prince. Living in a feudal kingdom is hard, earning a salary is not easy. After living this life to the next nearly 100 times, Arion has concluded one thing: outstanding talent will bring misfortune to you. When he was still an outstanding swordsman, all swordsmen wanted to come and duel with him. When granted magical talent, he had to face those who wanted to kill him with the accumulated powers of each life. He always became the center of all problems. Next, Arion will have to do what all children hate, that is going to school. Maid Nanny told Arion, "This year you are 5 years old, it's time to practice and learn to gain more knowledge." Arion secretly shouted in his heart, "Motherfucker, do you know how old this prince is that you still dare to make me study?" In any life, Arion had to work hard, so he just wanted to live his own way once. However, in the end he could not avoid it. According to royal law, princes must start studying at 5. Nanny prepared general books and brought them to the table for Arion to do. He looked pale. "What is this pile? Why is there so much stuff? It's boring." Arion then played with a few books like toys, spinning on his fingers, then taking them away to build a house. Nanny saw it and was shocked and immediately told Arion to stop because this knowledge was very precious, only royalty and nobility could access it. From a young age, seeing Nanny's attitude become determined, Arion immediately cried and acted, "I don't want to study anymore. What can you do?" This prince finally. Lady Livanna had to come out in person, causing Arion to stop whining and obeying her mother, knowing that everyone wanted him to study for his own good. But ironically, the more he studied, the more he pushed those around him into danger, to inheriting royal blood, the abilities of his wife's son, and even more, but also increased the risk of being harmed by villains. It sounds unfair, but everyone has had their own destiny since birth. Maid Nanny said if Arion can study hard, then the lady will be very happy. So he decided to learn a few things to please his mother, but except for swordsmanship because he didn't want to die under a sword. Also except for magic because learning it only brings jealousy and hatred. So what should this prince learn for his future? Later, a few days later, a wizard from the magic tower was invited by Lady Livanna to measure mana for her son. If Arion has mana talent, he will learn knowledge related to magic, then it's too bad. Currently this prince's abundant mana can be compared with the strongest wizard. The continent must hide it on the way because seeing Arion worried, Nanny comforted him that he would definitely be accepted. But who knows that the little guy is afraid of being too strong, and is also suffering very quickly, leading Arion into another room to introduce him to the wizard from the magic tower. As soon as he saw his opponent, Arion could see the flow of mana flowing throughout his body. Then the wizard began testing for Arion. Just seeing his face wasn't very good. The wizard said, "I can't feel any mana in Arion's body. Even if I use my mana to penetrate into the prince's blood vessels, the result is still like that." Seeing that, Arion smiled triumphantly. "This prince has taken action, then you can find it in your eyes." Previously, on the way to another room, he controlled blood circulation with his breath, so mana was condensed and transferred to peripheral nerves. He noticed a surprise when the wizard saw him because it was unthinkable for a royal lineage not to possess mana. After that, the wizard reported everything to Lady Livanna. A normal person will possess a very small amount of mana, but Arion has no mana at all, which he has never seen before. Knowing that her son had no talent to become a wizard, Livanna was very sad, but Arion had no other way. Today, this prince temporarily apologizes to the Queen Mother. This is just the beginning of the plan to become an incompetent son. This young man's name is Lonfield, a young knight. From today, he will take on the task of teaching swordsmanship to Arion. Although Lanfield is a famous sword master, in my eyes he is still too weak. Anyway, this prince has fought all kinds of monsters in fierce battlefields. How can this Lanfield compare with my level? Arryn told Lanfield, you don't want to practice difficult exercises because you heard that Kania had to wear a ring to enhance physical skills. Lanfield told him not to worry because that method was only for the Kenchester family. In swordsmanship, not only strength but also agility in each movement as well as maintaining balance is very important. The two will start with basic exercises until testing their balance ability. Then Arryn said he was afraid of heights, so he failed. Next is testing Lanfield's agility, thinking that the flexible body of a child will easily pass, but still not even when practicing attacking straw people. Arryn could not hold a wooden sword in his hand. Result: complete failure. At this point Arryn finally said, it seems I have no talent for learning swords. Lanfield patted him on the shoulder and comforted him, this is just your first time, if you practice hard you will definitely do better. It turned out that Arryn had deliberately done so because he discovered that someone in the forest was watching him. It's not easy to get past this prince's bright, handsome super champion martial arts. From that day on, rumors began to spread quickly. Everyone was buzzing about how Prince Arryn was a useless prince, not only having less mana than ordinary people but also having no talent for swordsmanship. When this news reached the queen's ears, she was overjoyed. So Arryn would not be able to block her son's path. This man's name is Gamiu. From today he will be Arryn's private tutor because rumors that he is a useless prince have spread far and wide. Everyone refuses to tutor him. Unexpectedly, someone dared to come and teach him. Then Gamiu immediately placed a stack of books on the table. These are common language books of ordinary kingdoms. It will only take 1 day to learn basic grammar, but unexpectedly Gamiu said, of course that is the usual progress, you may take 1 or 2 days, and if you can't do it it's okay. What kind of attitude is that? Is this guy looking down on this prince? But he's pretending to be useless, so he can't say anything either. In fact, Arryn could speak very early thanks to his previous 100 years. He did not encounter obstacles in learning reading and learning languages. Whenever everyone in the castle was sound asleep, he secretly looked through countless documents about this world and how he could let 100 lives pass by wastefully. Today in class, Arryn told Gamiu that he was fluent in languages on the continent, causing his teacher to think he was lying because the language of the kingdom was extremely complicated. No matter how talented, it takes at least 12 years old to read a simple book well. A 5-year-old child learns characters in just 2 days. Unexpectedly, Arryn can read fluently, making Gamiu stunned. The teacher was overjoyed when his student succeeded, then the teacher's reputation would be even more glorious. At this point, he knew that Arryn was a genius. Very quickly, the event that Prince Arryn had finished learning the language in just 2 days spread throughout the capital. His reputation was known to the nobility, not only fluent in language but also able to solve basic math problems. The reason why this rumor was leaked was because Gamiu got drunk and talked nonsense in a bar, saying that he was the one who discovered Prince Arryn's innate talent. Eventually, this news reached the king's ears. The king thought that forcing Arryn to learn things he didn't like, such as swordsmanship and magic, it's really hard for him. He told Livanna to pay more attention to her son from now on, believing that one day Arryn would become as great as himself. Arryn heard everything. Now this prince just needs to find a suitable position to live comfortably and prosperously. The dog takes lust as the king's way. To encourage his son's learning spirit, the king sent many gifts. Among them was a chest full of gold and silver treasures. Arryn's attention suddenly turned to a red necklace. He told everyone that this was a special necklace when worn around the neck. The necklace will automatically stimulate brain activity, helping users feel less tired throughout their body. However, the truth is not so. In the eyes of ordinary people, this is just an ordinary necklace, but Arryn can see the growth device hidden inside the gem. He suddenly remembered that Kania had recently received special training to prepare to become a warrior. So he told his mother that he wanted to give this to Kania. The lady also happily agreed when she saw her son having a good relationship with her half-sister. That day everyone in the castle celebrated because Arian received attention and recognition from the king. One morning Arian asked the chef to prepare all his favorite desserts. He personally tasted each dish and found that it didn't taste good at all. This pile of desserts is missing sweetness. Maid Nanny asked if Arian needed to call out the chef. Then he said he just needed to pretend to be an alchemist, so it turned out that this kid was craving soda with gas. But in order to recreate its taste it is necessary to have alchemy. But a 5-year-old child who asks for alchemy who will respond, let alone in the kingdom, cannot collect enough spices and ingredients. To recreate coca's taste requires many steps, but he doesn't have tools. This prince just wants a cold refreshing sip of coca. Why is it so difficult? At this point Arian suddenly remembered that he himself also had scholarly knowledge. Why not make coca himself? So he immediately ran away to try alchemy, simply chemical reactions. How can it be difficult for this prince? 3 years later Aaron turned 8 years old. At this time in the conference room everyone was planning to build a new bridge, mainly focusing on merchant territories often visited. After seeing the design, Arian asked which architect designed this top-notch bridge. An uncle immediately took credit, saying he supervised construction day and night. Your Highness, unexpectedly Arian turned around extremely sharply, causing his opponent not to have time to wear a helmet. If next time you dare create something useless like this again, then this prince will send you back home to herd ducks. Then he pointed at a location on the design and said, right now it looks okay, but once snow accumulates here it will be very dangerous. Wooden beams bear all the weight below, safety is not taken into account. Due to focusing too much on luxurious materials, for the architecture of the kingdom, this is truly a beautiful and luxurious work, but for residential areas, safety should be emphasized. Arian decided that this design needed to be revised. No one in the room dared to object, since taking on the title of the youngest genius in the empire, he has been trusted by the king and entrusted with many important tasks that require intelligence and extensive knowledge. Even the top scholars in their own field could not compare with Arian, and of course no one really felt comfortable having to listen to an 8-year-old boy. But his father is the king, so he has to bear it. Arian's talent has completely conquered everyone, to the point where they nicknamed him the wise young man who knows nothing. Arian feels this is the worst nickname he has ever heard. Today, Arian took the initiative to enter the palace to ask the king to allow him to study alchemy. The king asked his son why he was studying alchemy, then Arian replied that it was to help his father and the kingdom. I have no talent in swordsmanship or magic, so what I can do is gather and apply knowledge in practice. The king was very happy to hear that. It's my son. You may be young, but your thoughts and actions to help this father are not small at all. Finally, the king agreed to Arian's request and said he would introduce him to the best alchemist. So this prince is about to be challenged. With information about Prince Arian, Arian is looking for an alchemist to teach. Famous alchemists have gathered in full force in the kingdom. This is an opportunity for them to show off their alchemy skills to achieve bigger goals. Among them, someone created a reflective mirror that helps transmit light far away and arranged it on the outskirts of the western fortress to block enemy troops. That person is none other than Diamond, a famous alchemist who was personally appointed by the king as a professor for Prince Arian. When they first met, Arian felt Diamond was quite young. He thought his opponent must be an old alchemist. Diamond revealed that once he inhaled poisonous smoke while practicing his alchemy skills, so now his hair is white like that. Diamond also added that learning alchemy is harder and more dangerous than people think, especially at a young age like your highness. Arian said Diamond doesn't need to worry because I know about the risks. Alchemy is science, not magic. I don't want to learn them to turn things into gold like people think. Instead, I want to find ways to reduce impurities in iron or to create purer materials. This made Diamond have a good impression of Prince Arian, as it was rumored he was very smart. The kingdom will be led by a true leader. Then Diamond knelt down on one knee and said, I vow to teach Prince with all my knowledge. A few days have passed since their first lesson. Arian's profound knowledge has surprised Diamond. Diamond thought that he had studied alchemy before. He said he just read books briefly, making his teacher on one side clapping his hands in praise. Truly a genius. Arian knew how to extract essences from materials other than metals and chemicals only found here. Most other things match the information he learned from previous lives. The next day, the king suddenly received a letter from Arian. In the letter, Arian wrote that he wanted to add 4 more alchemists. Seeing this, the king immediately ordered the establishment of a group of famous alchemists from the kingdom. The great officials did not understand why Arian did this. Where the national city was being seriously affected was the current concern. Many people are wondering. Over here, Arian gathered his subordinates and said that he wanted to create a soft drink that had never appeared in this world. After knowing that soft drinks are a popular drink, everyone is completely delusional. Scholars like us have traveled far and wide to make our family name shine. But you just want to make snacks, right? It's really sad. Then Arian told everyone not to worry. I promise to compensate for the damage caused by interrupting your work. And of course, if this prince does it, there is no such thing as failure. A few days later, Arian had artificial soda water. He didn't think they would do it so fast. Discovering theories and conducting experiments is the joy of alchemy. Arian declared that this would bring vitality to the kingdom. The explosion of soft drinks would pave the way for the future of the country. Everyone in the room was skeptical about this water. Would it really be famous? Soda is a stimulant indeed, but its taste is very hard to drink. Arian explained that of course not drinking like that, people have to mix more fruit juice or alcohol into it to be delicious. The original goal was cola but failed because cola trees could not be found, so fruit soda was born. First Arian tried it with a sour and sweet taste. The alchemists tasted it and didn't even think it would be so delicious. From then on, Prince Arian's fruit soda was born. The sound of fruit soda has spread everywhere in the kingdom. In the old world, soda was just a popular soft drink anyone could buy, but here it has become a luxury item among nobles on par with expensive items and contributing greatly to the kingdom's economy. When they heard this news, the big bosses in the noble world were extremely regretful that if they had known earlier that Prince Arian was so talented, they would have taken the initiative to make friends with him. Long time no see. 2 years later, Arian turned 10 while Princess Kania also turned 16. Her swordsmanship progressed more and more, mastering all basic skills. Arian assessed that she was even better than boys her age. Since Arian produced carbonated drinks, he has stabilized the kingdom's economy. Arian's mother's real name is Liv Anna Andres. Andres' family is a noble family that has declined during their difficult times. They only own a small territory and struggle to survive like ordinary people. After learning about her mother's situation, Arian entrusted Andres' family with full distribution rights for soda. When carbonated drinks became a hot trend, Andres' family quickly became rich in a short time. Even Princess Kania felt jealous of her younger brother because he was so good. This is someone else's child, and Arian was about to invite Kania to eat zero cinnamon cake and drink carbonated soft drinks. Her sister suddenly wanted to keep her younger brother back to compete in swordsmanship. What's the use of having a lot of money when we don't have the ability to protect it while practicing swords, Arian? You can feel Kania's dreams and goals when Arian realized her desire to nurture a child into a sword master. That dream must have turned a fragile girl into such a passionate one. By noon, the king had summoned Arian to the palace for a meal. As he was eating cake, the king suddenly asked, "Have you considered taking any position in the government yet?" Making the little guy choke with surprise, the old king continued, "I know it's still a bit early. But now, if you take on government work, no one will object." However, Arian refused. "Are you kidding? In this life, this prince just wants to eat and enjoy." "Sorry, old man, You said I don't know what makes my father value me so much, but I still prefer to study science and alchemy. At this point the crown prince is not yet in government, but he wants me in there already. On the queen's side there was no action yet because this prince always knew where the limit was. Being loved by the king is completely different from being trusted and given a position in government. I will be hated and envied by other members of the royal family and a power struggle will break out. Nature is not the only place with jungle law. Sitting on the throne means having power like an eagle. If you are weak you will not survive even if you have gone through more than 1,000 lives. It doesn't matter anyway because this prince is not easy to beat now. The next day Aryan rode out for a walk. This is the first time he has gone so far out of the castle. Feeling the early morning sun rays and cool breeze blowing through his skin, feeling free after days of hard work, finally got to relax a bit. This time Princess Kania also followed behind, was a group of knights escorting 2 people. Just a walk, but also has a bunch of masters following, protecting an old man as king. It's really cool. Aryan was riding when he suddenly felt something, so he immediately stopped inside the forest. There are signs of magic in front. He warned Kania that there might be monsters inside this forest. Kania asked why he knew, then he said his sixth sense was very strong. However, despite her younger brother's warnings, Kania still urged her horse forward alone. At this point the escort team explained to Aryan that this forest was Princess Kania's training ground. It turns out that Kania also wants to take advantage of this opportunity to train her younger brother in such a waste prince like that. So here I am hiding my skills. Okay, keep going. Everyone immediately encountered 20 villains in the forest. Kania was not afraid at all. Immediately pulled out his sword and danced a few basic lines for everyone to die without armor. Aryan assessed his sister's strength from one side. Not only good at swordsmanship but also very calm. The courage and spirit emanating from her sister is enough to overwhelm everyone. In the evening, the group set up camp and lit a fire to cook. Aryan asked Kania why she wanted to be strong. Kania said it was because of her status as princess. No matter how proficient her swordsmanship was, no one would recognize it. They will only think that she temporarily got excited for a few days then gave up. If nothing happens, one day she will have to marry someone she doesn't even know to bring benefits to the royal family through a political marriage. Kania hated that boring life. She just wanted to be like Aryan. He made a lot of money thanks to his talent, not because of his prince status. He contributed to the kingdom and was recognized by everyone. Kania also wants that contribute to her family because of her talent, not because of political marriage. She wants to decide her own destiny. Kania continued to hunt monsters with her swordsmanship. It was at a level where just one swing would kill one, making the soldiers feel sorry for the unlucky monsters. Why did they mess with their princess? Seeing that the hunt was enough, Aryan told his sister, "We need to go home now, there are no more monsters to hunt anyway. You've picked up their whole stove, where else?" Although Kania felt she hadn't fought enough, she still listened to her younger brother and returned to the castle. On the way, Kania's horse suddenly showed signs of exhaustion due to overwork. She gave her horse to her servant to take care of, then rode on the same horse with her younger brother. On the way back, the group suddenly saw a strange cloud in the sky. Aryan immediately sensed that there was something inside the cloud, a creature lurking behind the cloud layer. It was a dragon. Aryan quickly warned everyone, "There is a dragon flying here, everyone hurry up and run towards the forest." The soldiers did not see the dragon, so they did not leave and said that the owner of this land had confirmed that there were no dragons appearing here. But before he finished speaking, this person was picked up by a dragon's claw. Moreover, they were not just one or two but a whole herd. Seeing this, Aryan was very confused. Dragons usually live independently, but now they follow herds. Seeing the herd of dragons frantically killing their escort team, he realized that they were not looking for food but wanted to slaughter. Under their fierce attack, very quickly the group suffered heavy casualties. Despite being overwhelmed, they still used acid breath, not knowing why they had to use such a strong poison. At this point Arian had no time to care about others. He told his sister, "Don't look back, hold on tight." After regaining his composure, the escort team immediately divided the mages to protect 2 people from escaping. However, running forever will not solve the problem. Flying dragons can resist level 4 magic, and lower levels. As time goes on, mages will become more disadvantaged. Arian quickly turned mana energy into bullets, successfully taking down 2 dragons. However, one landed in front of him, and when it was about to boil 2 people alive, Kania's bodyguard gave it a fatal sword. Suddenly an ominous laugh rang out. Then a black-robed mage suddenly appeared on the battlefield. He was holding a very strangely shaped scepter. Arian asked, "Who are you?" Then he swung his scepter, releasing a magic cannon, attacking him. Although he avoided it, then he said the name Princess Kania, making Arian suspicious. His sister is the target of this attack. The opponent continued to use his scepter and began to emit a strange energy, causing all the dead soldiers to suddenly come back to life. Even dragon corpses were affected. The mage immediately shouted, "Kill the princess and teach those arrogant royals the power of darkness." Seeing that his opponent dared to target his sister, Arian immediately gave him some bullets and logged out on the spot so fast that Kania couldn't see anything. She asked what just happened, then Arian said maybe it's because of using too much power, so he died, right? Although the mage has gone to sell salt, his curse will still be effective for a short time. Arian decided to ride his horse to take his sister to retreat first, while the night team protected the rear. By evening, the 2 had stopped their horses to rest. Seeing so many people die because of her, Kania was very regretful. If she hadn't asked to practice, this wouldn't have happened. Arian immediately comforted her. "This is just an accident, it's not your fault." Thinking back, he felt a little too mature for a child who had just been assassinated, so he had to pretend to act a bit like it. "This prince is really scared." Kania took Arian's hand and said, "Thank you, if it weren't for you today, I wouldn't have been able to return safely." Arian realized that his sister was feeling guilty for the escorts who had sacrificed. Although the royal family always faces the risk of assassination, this is the first time Kania has experienced it. Now we have to focus on returning safely. What is safe is paramount. At this point, the 2 suddenly saw a dragon flying and a falcon fighting in midair. It turned out that there was a nest on the rock wall. It seemed that the flying dragon was aiming at the falcon's cub. Although the mother bird tried her best to protect her child, in the end she was not a match for the flying dragon. Fortunately, after the mother bird died, then the dragon left. Arian turned around and didn't see his sister anywhere. It turned out that she saw that the mother bird had died protecting her child until her last breath, so she wanted to take care of the baby bird. It's still too small to survive in nature on its own. If a baby falcon that hasn't opened its eyes is left here, then chances are it will become prey for wild animals. Actually, although it seems cruel, Arian doesn't want to change nature's rules, but he can't refuse his sister either. At this point, the escort team found 2 people. Fortunately, no one had to die after the mage's curse disappeared. When they saw that Princess Kania was holding a baby falcon in her hand, everyone was very surprised. This can't be blamed, this prince has advised enough, but because she didn't listen, a week later everything returned to normal. Arian's family adopted a new member named Fly. Fly is very cute and clingy. Somehow he only likes to follow Arian alone. Previously he had cut a line on the mother falcon's chest, then took away the magic stone which helped him tame the baby falcon. Every time Kania comes to visit Frank, she will practice swordsmanship and train aura with Arian. As expected, she mastered using aura at an incredible speed. However, there was an unforeseeable side effect. Because Fly was often exposed to huge sources of power, the side effect of training aura was making it temporarily large like this. Now it's even bigger than its owner, like this prince who is really sad. The 2 siblings were talking when suddenly the maids announced, "The king is coming." At this time Arion heard that he was busy dealing with repairs in the north. He came here must have something. Then it turned out that the king knew that his son was diligently practicing swordsmanship, so he sent soldiers with a gift for him, which was a unique sword specially made for Arion. He picked it up and looked at it. Indeed, it was a good sword. However, in this life Arion has determined to be a leisurely prince waiting for death, so he cannot reveal his true strength.